Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to a best of 5 series of top level StarCraft 2. Today it's time for a Terran versus Zerg between two of the biggest names in the entire game. We're in the upper right, playing right here in the blue. Playing with the Terran, we have none other than Maru, the most successful tournament player from South Korea that we've ever had. His opponent, a previous world champion of StarCraft 2, an absolute fan favorite. We're looking at Reynor's main hatchery, although apparently in this particular case, he goes by the username of Ray. I guess he hit the character limit. He wanted to represent his team, Basilisk, and apparently Reynor did not quite fit. Maru apparently with onside, also in all uppercase, could just barely make it. I'm pretty sure he's probably within a character, maybe 2 characters of the absolute limit in the game. Actually, there's also a minimum amount of characters that your username has to be, which happens to be 3, which is why famous players like, for example, TY used to just double up their username. He would play under the ID TY, just because, well, otherwise the game would not allow him. It's going to be a double barracks start right here for Maru, but interestingly enough, he's planted both of the barracks inside of the main base. Normally, we see them right over here on the low ground, or sometimes even like on the other side of the map. This would be a pretty decent spot for it. But right here on White Rabbit, Maru has decided to just plant them smack dead in the middle of his main, which is one of those things that's maybe theoretically slightly suboptimal. But because Zerg players at this level are so used to the alternative options, this may actually work out a little bit better right here for Maru. But obviously, he's not going to be able to get the safety here of the low ground wall off. So I'm assuming we will get a expansion here eventually too, which means that either he has to fly the barracks down to the low ground, or he just has to, well, take the risk of a potential like Zerg counterattack a little bit later on in the game. But I don't know if this Overlord is really going to see much. Yeah, Reynor is probably going to be headed towards this little pillar that allows him to mostly overlook the natural expansion. He's going to see 1 Reaper. Will he see Reaper number 2? That's the question. Because he needs to prepare for this sort of thing. If you actually don't respect the Reaper opener, you are in a little bit of trouble. He's going to see the timing of the command center as well, though, so that will be quite nice. But indeed, he's not going to be able to notice that second Reaper leaving the main, and already he's thinking of going for a quick third hatch. All right, Reaper number 1 already being a nuisance. What this means is that Reynor does delay Zergling speed for a little bit. It will be coming up momentarily, I'm sure, but he's actually adding on another worker. He really needs to fire up Metabolic Boost here ASAP. Absolutely critical, because otherwise the Terran here can just run away with the early game advantage. Technically, I think you can still pull off the defense with Queens and Slowlings alone, but it's really freaking hard. Now, this particular match is from the Maestros of the Game 2 tournament. It's organized by Comeback TV, and it's actually an ongoing event where the grand finals, and I think even maybe the top 4, although don't quote me on that. It will take place over in Paris, so that's pretty cool. They actually have a venue over there too, so if you want to go ahead and support them, I'll go ahead and pop some links down below in the description of this video, as we have the first Reapers really trying to be a nuisance. A little bit of miscontrol though here by Maru. He assumed here that the Italian Zerg would back up. Most Zerg players kind of freak out when their queen starts running into red, but I think one of those grenades actually allowed Maru to get a little bit closer to the queen. You have to be careful though, yeah, leading it with the high HP 1 up towards the high ground. Obviously, there's no creep connecting that little bit of space, but I gotta hand it here to Reynor so far. This is a pretty expensive opener for Maru. He did, by the way, not fly those command centers, or sorry, the barracks down to the low ground to try and save the command center here, so it is a little bit scary. We have an additional influx of links right now because of it. Reynor is gonna test the waters. He's gonna try and see if he can potentially punish the South Korean Terran player here with a little bit of counter-attack damage, and I can't really blame him. 22 Zerglings, but 24 Zerglings. Let's see how much he can do. Now, there are a couple Hellions just about to pop out. Reynor is making workers on the back of this, so this is not super committed, but he certainly wants to try and deal some damage. Let's see. Already, though, the units are ready to line up over here. Oh, my lord. That is some very efficient damage from the Terran. Say goodbye to the Zerglings. That is about 20 roasted Zerglings in one little hex on the map. Greedy follow-up as well here for Maru. Double upgrades already going off in the back of the Terran's main. Reynor now regretting going for the timing attack or the counter attack there. And I think what he's really actually regretting is not microing those units. He must have been preoccupied with something else, and by the time that he checked back, well, that was a fight that really only went on for a couple seconds. The Zerglings had already been roasted to a crisp. 5, 3, and 0 kills. Actually, we probably saw some kills as well then on the Reapers. Yeah, not bad. Single Evo chamber now in the meantime. Creating a bit of a semi-wall here in the natural. This is, of course, though, where that third hatchery kicking in so early is pretty sweet for Reynor. But we do have a very scary timing attack coming up, I believe, here for Maru. We have an armory. The timing of this armory is a little early. I would imagine it could be for 2-2. That's option 1. Alternative choice, though, is that you can use this armory to turn the Hellions into Hellbats. So like a Marine +1/+1 Medevac Hellbat push with a third command center on the back of this. I mean, it has the potential to deal serious damage. Alternatively, though, it could just be a little bit early here on the armory to go into 2-2. It's a bit cheaper these days. Back in the day, the armory was actually quite expensive to get up to, but they made it, well, quite a few years ago at this point. But they did make it a little bit cheaper in a previous multiplayer balance patch. Lair finally coming here for Reynor. Man, this feels so late, right? Compared to how often we've been seeing Zerg players go 2-base Lair lately, this really does feel like a super late Lair. Alright, 1-1 finishing up. No, I think it's just for 2-2. Yeah, we do have, how many Hellions? It's just 4. 4 Hellbats is kind of scary, but not terrifying. We have 9 Queens, 2 more coming up. Reynor is respecting this. Yeah, there's the 2-2 started. And there's the Hellbats. Big Zergling counterattack. Keep in mind here that Reynor does not have a Baneling Nest, nor does he have a Roach Warren, so it's just pure Queen. Sadly here for him, he's also gonna get the +1 ground carapace denied. Ling run by in the meantime, though, does swoop in, and this could deal some serious damage. Siege tank is likely to die. A lot of SCVs are falling too, but what about the pusher at the front? It's a lot of very low HP Marines, but a very committed attack by Maru. This game suddenly got flipped upside down, and because of all the worker losses, Reynor decides to just leave. Yeah, margin for error at the highest level. Ooh, a little bit of a slip up there from the Terran. Margin for error is incredibly small at the highest level. Reynor could have theoretically microed the Zerglings while also simultaneously making sure that the Queens are spread. But if the Queens are wasting all their shots shooting at a couple Hellions, for example, or I guess in that instance Hellbats, and you allow that Terran Marine army to just all fire at the same time, they can just destroy the Queens. Doesn't really matter if you have 9 of them or 11. I mean, 9 is already a lot. That's more than what we normally see from Zerg players, but yeah, there's a good reason why we usually do have a couple Roaches at the very least, or maybe a few Banelings. Even if you're not really planning on destroying the opponent's army with Banelings, just the existence of them means that Terran has to be a lot more careful, right? Just seeing a Baneling nest forces Terrans to be paying very close attention. Reynor wanted to be a bit greedy, and he paid the price. Now we find ourselves on Exarch. This map has not yet been confirmed as an official ladder map for the upcoming StarCraft 2 map pool. It did not quite make it into the top 3 of the TLMC finalists, but I personally hope that we are going to be seeing this map. I think it's beautiful. I mean, it's a cool map. The layout design is a little bit funky. It's different enough. We have these cool tunnels as well going around the outside, and I mean, the Warcraft map, right? Blackrock is the one that ended up winning the overall of the TLMC, so that's certainly going to be a future map in the map pool. I mean, we have a Warcraft map. This map is very clearly, inspired by a lot of Diablo stuff, right? I mean, this is effectively the heaven area, whatever it's called. Is it Sanctuary? No, it's not Sanctuary. It's the name of the world. Anyways, I'm forgetting the name right now of what they call the angelic space in Diablo, but if we're gonna have a Warcraft-inspired map, I feel like it's almost appropriate to also add a Diablo map in the mix, and truthfully, this map is beautiful. It's really cool. And it's just normal and different enough for it to be interesting. And I don't really think we're going to see a lot of pro players necessarily veto this right from the outset. Anyhow, there is actually a little worker-only path here, so Reynor didn't quite need to mine out that full mineral field. A little surprised, actually, that he decided to do that. I guess he wanted to make sure that he had some space as well for Zerglings to get down to the low ground, but that's another nice little feature here on Exarch. You'll see this all over the map. These little scattering mineral fields, these tiny blue ones, they are indicative of a drone, a probe, or an SCV only path. So workers are the only units that can go down there, and there's actually also a little, almost like a Mario Kart speed up thing, indicating where indeed the worker only path is set up. All right, Maru is going to check. He will see the timing of the third. He won't really be too scared of it. It's all very normal. We have double marine production right now on the back of this. It's a bit funky. Yeah, it's yet again a double barracks opener here for the South Korean Terran player, but he's not quite going for the Mass Reaper start. So it's a double Rex, but then a very different follow-up than what we previously had. Of course, this is played on the current patch, right? Like, this is not the PTR. It's not the new StarCraft 2 balance patch. I mean, for this particular tournament, there is, I believe, a prize pool of $20,000 in total, which is a ridiculous amount of money. So you're not really going to be running an event of that size on a, well, very experimental balance patch, especially since this tournament actually has been going on for a while already, since, if I'm not mistaken, before the PTR ever began. So switching halfway through an event, to a new patch just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Although it has happened before, and it honestly could happen with this one too, that a new balance patch goes live midway through a tournament, right? So how do you proceed if you're a tournament organizer? You've been running your event for like a month, and then right before your offline grand finals, there's a brand new balance patch. Do you make the players play on it? I mean, it's the live version of the game. This is a dilemma, okay, that many tournament organizers have run into historically, and usually what happens is you do indeed end up playing the new patch. But right now, at least whispers on the road, right? No, the word on the street has it that Zerg is absolutely busted on the new PTR 2. If you haven't seen my video on it, I'll go ahead and post a link to it down below in the description of this video. They buffed Zerg early game, and apparently Zerg is absolutely unbeatable, at least in the first couple days. I'll try to get you some replays ASAP. Anyways, Marines are trying to move up this high ground. This is an ambitious play, though, here for Maru. Stimpack is finishing up. We have Medivacs coming across the map right now. A little bit weird, really. Yeah. Reynor's just gonna... Oh, what? Well, that was funky. There's a little bit of a map glitch there. See the Queen popping in and out of existence there? He's just gonna re-wall with another Evo chamber. I mean, sure, this is gonna be another dead Evo, but I think the Zerg units are plentiful enough. Reynor, though, again, not really respecting this very much. Yeah, Reynor apparently is not afraid of the men with the gun. It's fine. In this instance, anyways. Not in the previous game. It works out okay for him this time around, but I have seen many games of SC2 over the years where the men with the gun need to be respected. Maybe a little bit more so than the other units out on the battlefield, because they do not mess around, man. For 50 minerals? Oh, look, man, this little circle is making units just like the Queen on the other side of the map. It's obviously mirrored. It's making units, disappear. If this does indeed turn out to be, weird. I've never actually noticed that before. Huh. If this does indeed turn out to be an official ladder map, that will certainly be fixed. So, super quick lair, delayed metabolic boost, and then very fast infestation pit. We're 6 minutes into the game. Reynor has already got an infestation pit coming. Will that be for a hive? He did, by the way, not transition away from, well, skipping banelings, right? He does have a roach warren, but he didn't make any roaches. Wait. Brenda, Karen, Margaret, Lily, Susan, what are you guys doing? Beth! You guys are not destroying the rocks, but the roach warren, man. Okay, they have been sent to the front lines now because there's medevacs to hunt. A little bit awkward. I think they probably were meant to go after debris here, but... yeah, 2 infestors right now coming up together with the hive. Third command center in the meantime, all the way in the upper left, does get blocked by one pesky Zergling. I feel like if I was that command center pilot, I would just land it. Just land on top of the Zergling, dude. What's it gonna do? But no, Terran players are polite. Medevacs are gonna have to back up yet again. This nice little watchtower in the middle of the map is gonna get the night Zerg vision one more time. We actually already, if I'm not mistaken, had an updated version of this map. As, if I'm not mistaken, in the past, or at least in a previous version of this map, we had full speed circles all the way around. And now in the middle here, we have, well, about half the mineral, or actually, no, exactly half of the circles are now inhibitor zones. So these green ones, they speed up movement. The red ones slow down movement. It's a little bit spicy, a little bit weird. Fungal growth is going to be available though, and it's also going to inhibit any sort of pickups. Oi, 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 that's a beautiful fungal growth by the Zerg player. Say goodbye to that entire Terran army. Maybe the siege tank can be saved. Yeah, that one just barely got picked up. But that's exactly what Reynor was hoping for. And now he's going to be able to skyrocket ahead really quickly. Momentum now shifts heavily in favor of the Zerg, who immediately goes in, tries to capitalize with a counterattack, doesn't really want to risk it. Fair enough, but we have Adrenal Glands already coming. 8 minutes into the game, and what does Maru do? Despite going double upgrades, he's transitioning towards mech. Wait a second, is he though? He's making 2 factories and 3 barracks at the same time. I guess he's a little bit late. Yeah, on this additional factory, so he's just gonna round it up to the total of 3 here earlier than you normally would. It's a bit funky. Normally we see 1 factory and then another command center, and then eventually, much later on in the game, the 3rd factory too. He is not making the switch on over to mech. Correction. He's just trying to... But this is also weird, man. Like, he's going Drilling Claws right now, while then also simultaneously upgrading the mech attacks. This is all disjointed, because the Widowmine attacks do not benefit from the +1 mech upgrade. They are considered spellcasters, so their damage is flat. At least the damage that they deal with is considered spellcasting, which is a little bit weird. One of the weird intricacies of StarCraft 2. We're gonna see another fungal. Will kill all of the Marines in the end. Hatchery goes down, but I mean, that's still a decent trade for Reynor, of course, who's now making the swap into an Ultra Cavern. He's getting Burrow, he's getting a Spire. All of this right now is on reels for the Italian Zerg. Still, Exarch is not an easy map to break. As long as these mineral fields are mined out, or available, I guess, as long as they're not mined out, it's very difficult for Zerg to penetrate this base. Really, there's only one path over here, and then another path over here, right? Siege tanks will cover that just fine. I guess that's why we got the +1 attack in the armory. Now we're going to be swapping on over to armor upgrades instead, so we get up to an interesting mix of siege tanks. As we do have the Baneling here, getting the Baneling Nest, getting the Knight. Nicely done. Ultra Cavern also is going to be next. Maru forced to pull a rabbit out of a hat, but just does exactly that. Lovely drop there by the Terran. That is going to slow the Zerg down a ton. Momentum may actually be once more on Maru's side here. I still prefer this spot for Reynor, but this really has now forced him to play a much later game. He wanted to go for an all-out attack with Ultralisks and then with Banelings and speed. Reynor is also mismacroing a little bit, late on the gases. It's now forcing him to be extremely mineral heavy, but there's not really a whole lot he can spend it on other than Zerglings, and he's got plenty of those already. Maru managing his economy very nicely. So what I was going to try and say is that Maru is making a swap on over to both siege tanks. A couple drones here too, and then also Widow Mines. So siege tanks, Widow Mines, Marine Marauder, Medevac. It's going to make it difficult though to transition towards Liberators and Ghosts and all the rest of it later on in the game. Even though we did just see a Medevac drop, forcing so many drone kills, we now also see a SCV line get destroyed, together with a planetary fortress itself. Reynor immediately follows up yet again. The Widow Mines are still not burrowed. That means honestly that another command center may end up biting the dust. Maybe 2 more command centers end up going down. Reynor finally does indeed trigger 1 cancel, but that was a really nice sequence here for the Zerg. Note, of course, for his speed. Let's do a little bit of first-person view. Try to micro here against all of those cheeky little Widow Mines. This is what he's looking at whilst playing the game. Only just now restarting up that Baneling Nest. Also forced to obviously restart up the Adrenal, or sorry, not the Adrenal, the Chitinous Plating for the Ultras. The Ultras are not going to be nearly as powerful. We have a couple burrowed Infestors as well moving through the left side of the map. There's another one, or another group here right above that little pillar. What about that Infestor? Can we actually maybe see it in first-person view? He set up a surround, but it's not really that many, not really that many Terran units here. He doesn't really want to spoil the surprise. Beautiful gameplay, though, here by both. Ultimately, Reynor gets, distracted as I take control of the camera yet again. So much micro to try and counter those Widow Mines, and then in the meantime, he lost the hatchery in the bottom right. Maru needs this to go his way, right? It's absolutely critical that these drops indeed do work out for him, and he gets 2 bases killed with it as well. So, an eye for an eye, left, right, and center. Now the Corruptors, though, are here to spoil the surprise. There's a handful of Marines available, but I don't think that this Terran army is going home. Yeah, that'll be the end. In the meantime, we have another Terran attack launched on the left side. Zergling burrowed, by the way, on that potential 4th command center, and that is the awkward thing right now for Maru. He's kind of okay, economically speaking, but he really needs to establish a new mineral line, and there's just not really that many to choose from. For the same reason as he could expend pretty easily early on, and how he could defend all of those locations that he had to expend to early on, he's now also running out of space to actually take a new base on. So the first 3 bases, super easy. Where, however, do you take your 4th? You kind of have to knock down the debris over here, right? Which leaves you very vulnerable. Burrowed Zergling is going to also prevent it from landing immediately. Baneling speed will be done in a second. We've got ourselves the +2 flyer upgrade as well coming up for Reynor, who's just playing pure Infestor Zergling Ultra with some Corruptors and Overseers for support. And there's that fungal that we were looking for earlier, chain fungaling it as well, making it impossible for the Marauders to escape. And now Reynor is ready to really lay down the law. I think you can send it, dude. I think you can just send in reinforcements now. So many Terran units will end up going down. We do have another Widowmine drop, though, taking down another 13 drones. That is significant. The worker-only path saving Maru there for the time being, but soon the Zerg reinforcements will arrive. Reynor is really sending a lot of units, though, this way right now. He did kill 18 additional SCVs. Maru simultaneously, though, getting some work done. But here's the freshly hatched Zerglings. And the worker-only path is actually kind of sick. We apparently now have that pesky Link still making it impossible for the Terran to take the base. He decided to just land it a little further away. But now I think that worker-only path is going to make it impossible to actually defend that location. We have a fungal growth on the army yet again. Reynor wins game number 2, but Maru still managed to deal so much counterattack damage throughout. And with the score all tied up, we find ourselves on the map Tourmaline. Now Maru, yet again, starting the game with 2 barracks inside of the main base. Very interesting. We've seen a lot of double barracks openers before, but these days it's common to do it like maybe once, maybe twice in a best of 5 series. And then whenever we see Terrans build up a double barracks, usually it is part of the wall off on the low ground to try and keep the natural expansion safe. Ooh, careful. Ooh, no space over there for a spore. So Maru actually snipes a drone. That's already really justifying a lot of this early game here. But anyways, Maru now doing a double barrack start, 3 out of 3 games, whilst building both of the barracks inside of the main base is a little bit spicy. This time around, he's also once more committing to, at the very least, making a group of Reapers, right? But he's already shown us that that is not necessarily something he always wants to do. I think if you spot that the Zerg is going for a very fast 3rd hedge and delaying the Zergling speed because of it, you could even potentially go like 5 Reapers and try to really contest the 3rd base itself. Obviously, forcing the council on it is quite significant. Now, this is a cute little dance. He's jumping the high HP Reaper up towards the high ground to then allow the dudes from the low ground to get some real damage in. And you know what? It's working, man. Like, this is significant. Okay, actually, it's only 3 links. I thought it was like 7. It's actually only 3 Zerglings. And this is actually a good point, right? That was only 3 links. Maybe in game number 1, Reynor was a little bit confused, right? Wondering what are you trying to do? But he's already adjusted here in the 3rd game of the series. He's barely respecting the double barracks opener now. Really delaying the links much later than what he did earlier. It's a little bit unfortunate that he lost a worker there. Not quite morphing in a structure in time. Still though, this is 4 queens. You gotta respect them. Maybe don't fight on creep. A little bit messy. Okay. That's the main problem with the Reapers. They're absolutely dominant early on, but then when Zergling speed finishes up, they very quickly lose their value. Aliens join in as well, so we can continue the raiding for a little bit longer. This is just a little mini game, right, that both of the players are going for. The real game is usually decided right now with macro. So, 3rd command center inside of the main base already for Maru. Got ourselves a starport, and we'll continue with double medevac production yet again. So what's kind of weird, right? Like, imagine you're going up against a double barracks opener. How does Terran make a smooth transition towards Hellions? Normally, what you do is you go for a single barracks, you build a Reaper, a Marine for safety, you scout with the Reaper, and then you make a reactor to start pumping out Hellions 2 at a time. Yes, you can still pump out Hellions 2 at a time with a build like this, but they're gonna be much later, first and foremost, right? And because of it, you lose value on the unit itself, because by the time you finally get to a sufficient number, usually like 8 or so is where Zergs really get kind of scared of Hellions. Obviously, you're already like a good minute later because of the Reaper production earlier on, so there will just be more Queens out. So, in my mind, like, Hellions are really good, especially when there's very little creep set up, because they can help deny it, and they can obviously threaten to run down into a mineral line. In this instance, and I don't really know if I like the Hellions because of it, the Hellions just don't really get very much done. So, unless we're just doing a repeat of what we did in game number 1, which seems to be what Maru is going for, we yet again have a pretty quick armory. I guess we want to go for like a Hellbent Marine drop once more. You just kind of have these Hellions sitting around doing very little. And I'm sure, yeah, that this is something that Reynor has picked up on as well, because he's a much smarter player than me. He's going to be now following the Queens up with roaches. Much quicker there. Zerglings will be sent to a run-by. This is Reynor. Not just playing the opponent, he's playing the series, right? He has now, apparently it was a little bit of a lag spike or something. I'm not exactly sure. We can have a, all right, not much going on. I guess somebody disconnected or lagged or something. Anyways, we're going to see a Zergling counterattack. 2 SCVs get denied. Base gets lifted up. And I think that this will be a much easier hold for Reynor, although I say that. He didn't have all of the roaches out yet. Still a little bit messy. But you can see, right, this is a Zerg player adapting on the fly. And now suddenly, we go from that exact same attack, winning the game, to it basically dealing no damage at all. And you know what? We're going to go one step further. Reynor's gonna send it, I think. He's making a lot of roaches. Metabolic boost, well, it needs to be followed up with a quick glial reconstitution. This one is a little bit late. Are we just gonna make non-stop roaches now until roach speed and +1 armor are done? Is that the game plan here, Reynor? I don't entirely disagree, but it is a little risky. So he has just established an advantage. And I think he's ready to basically now lean into it and just go immediately all in. I do kind of like this. Look at that. Reynor only sending the batch of roaches that he showed to his opponent earlier on too. Hiding the big bulk of it. A lot of Zerglings now being made as well. Yeah, Reynor's gonna go for like a 67 drone all in. Ravagers coming up. That's why we're making Zerglings, to save a little bit on gas. Reynor is gonna go for a very scary attack, and I kind of love this, man. Let's try to see if the Terran can actually defend it. Very scary push incoming, but also a very committed attack from Reynor. Look at the supply difference right now. Reynor is committing because he's not adding on any additional Evo chamber upgrades, and right now Maru must have seen that something fishy is going on. He fires up 3 bunkers. That means he, well, plans on defending the 3rd. We have a bunch of siege tanks available. Okay, he does decide to run the SCVs right now. Command center also takes off. Okay, I like this. I think it's the smart play, man, because holding on to the 3rd base is just unnecessary. You're so mobile as Terran. And now Zerg does have to break through a line of siege tanks. 2nd factory is going to be done pretty soon. Is there enough for the Zerg to break through? So many corrosive balls available that he can actually just blast through a bunch of them just like that. But do you just want to send in the roaches right now? Drones on the back of this. Reynor does not believe that he can bust it. Despite the 60 supply lead, he does not believe that he can go down the meat grinder, but I think he kind of has to. Can you really just make all this army and then sit out here and hope for the best? Oh man, I would be sending it 100% of the time and then complain when it doesn't work. That would be me if I was in his shoes. And I think about 99% of us. Reynor not committing here when he sees the bad spot that he's in, with this particular attack anyways, is actually the highest level move so far in this series. Seriously. Let me know down below in the comment section. Would you send it right here? I mean, now it's a little late, but like a minute ago. Actually retreating with a 200 supply army kind of feels insane to me. It's probably the right play. But you're so committed. 5th hatchery here. Hive coming up. Yeah, it's 100% the right play. This army would just die to the siege tanks, the marauders, the marines, and everything else, man. That's kind of the thing with StarCraft, right? Like, if you even just give your opponent one additional production cycle, your push is probably late. So either you commit or you don't. StarCraft really punishes half committal. You either commit or you don't. Look, those are your options. This middle of the road approach barely ever works. So Reynor decided to just fully pull out of that fight, but now he's stuck on kind of an awkward army. Like, he's still maxed. He has good workers, though, so that's kind of sick, right? The fact that he decided to basically fill in an additional 20 supply worth of workers really is saving him now in a longer game. But yeah, he just went Hive. He's just going Adrenal Glands. I'm guessing we want to switch on over towards maybe Ultralisks or something again. But normally, you arrive at Ultralisks with, well, maybe 10 Roaches at most and maybe a handful of Ravagers. But this is so much supply. Yeah, look. He's killing a bunch of his own Roaches now to open supply up for Vipers. This entire game has just become extremely awkward, and I don't think Maru is really too upset about it. We have Centrifugal Hooks finishing up. That's nice. We're gonna see Banelink Speed, right? That's pretty good, but this army is terrible. Like, this is like 50 supply worth of Zerg that is doing effectively nothing for the remainder of the game, which is another argument for just sending it. And I wonder if maybe Reynor is starting to regret not committing to it earlier. Because this has just become so strange. Okay, alternative play. Alternative play. Be prepared to lose all of this. Maybe take a somewhat inefficient fight, but then instantly replace it with other units. I think that's why we probably have the Ultra. I think the Ultralisk will very likely replace the role of the Roach, but then in a much more efficient manner. This is scary though here. Look at this Terran army. Wonderfully played here by Maru, who's now also approaching max out, finally. There's a lot of siege tanks available, but so many Marines too. Here's the Roach counterattack. Reynor's known for his Zergling counterattacks. Now I guess the Roaches have been sort of forced. Matter of fact, drop in the meantime in the bottom right corner, putting in so much work. Yet again, man, this double barracks opener really is kind of distracting the Zerg. This can all be traced back to the double barracks inside of the main base. It's so funny how StarCraft strategies work out like that. Reynor really did not plan on getting stuck in this position, but he's now forced to deal with it. Ooh, corrosive balls yet again to try and prevent the chase. You know what? Terran doesn't care. Couple balls to the face, couple dead Marines. If you can exchange that for maybe a handful of Ravagers or maybe even a Viper, that would be incredible. But now the Zerglings indeed are coming in together with a bunch of Ultras, but so many Zerg hatcheries have already died. Reynor is now awkwardly long distance mining a bunch of it. He did kill a few SCVs too, or maybe a little bit more than a few, but this is so scary. Here we go. I think Reynor is just about to send it. I don't really like this position for him though. He's got 5 Ultralisks coming, so many armor upgrades missing still, and Maru is effectively just pushing right where it hurts. He knows exactly how vulnerable Zerg is at this stage in the game, and he is playing it masterfully. Normally, I would not recommend parking your Terran army on creep like this, but it's 100% the right call now. He's effectively committing to defending this intersection. The siege tanks are all parked on creep. It's dangerous. I would really like to see this Evo Chamber go down, and it does indeed deny the +3 ground carapace. This is an absolutely beautiful game by Maru. Reynor may have had more money, Reynor may have had more income, he may have had more army supply, but he did not make the strategically correct choices, and now he has to commit. Blinding Clouds do go down though, but there's just not enough Zerg available anymore. Beautiful game of SC2 by Maru, who gets the 2-1 lead. Okay, Maru believes that he's been figured out. Yeah. So the previous game was maybe a slight overreaction from Reynor. But imagine if Reynor just stopped making Roaches or didn't commit to like a full Roach counterattack after clearing out the first big push from Maru. Reynor would have been at a very solid advantage at that point. So because of it, Maru decides now, okay, I'm no longer going to test this Zerg. We're just going to go back to the tried and true strat instead. He knows he got very close to losing that previous game. Let's just go back to the tried and true build instead. So, single barracks, refinery in the main, and then a command center on the low ground. I've often heard the argument that people say StarCraft 2 is not so much a strategy game, but very much so a game where it's all about mechanics and macro, right? Strategy is nice, but you need speed. Well, the thing is, at this level, all players have a ridiculous amount of speed. No one at the pro level in SC2 will struggle with like 8 buttons a second on average for a long macro game. They're ridiculously quick. So, yes, there is an argument that macro is everything, but these two are very much so playing a strategy game. It's a lot of mind games too, and I feel like those are a little bit more difficult to really explain, but also I will very likely not be aware of all of them. There's a lot of history between players too, right? So there's a good chance that these two will know each other from previous encounters too, and that they're playing around strategies that they've previously already shown. So sometimes the strategies may appear to be ridiculously greedy if they were like a one-off ladder game. Like, for example, this. Oh, we've got ourselves a third CC. Smack that in the face of the Overlord. Right, this may appear a little bit greedy for us. If you play this on the ladder, you're probably okay as well. But what I'm trying to say is that there's history as well, and they're playing around all of it. They're not just playing a one-off best of 3 or a best of 5 or a best of 7. They're playing the opponent throughout the series. They're playing the maps. They're playing around the different builds that they've shown to the opponent on previous encounters on the same map too. Like, there's a very good chance that they have faced off on Sanctuary 3 during a previous event, although this is a pretty new map. And that they're playing around that now again too, right? Like, there's so many layers to this stuff. It is not so easy to just say StarCraft 2 is just a game where it's all about clicking buttons really fast. It's like, yes, it's that, but also, it's not. Like, macro mechanics, oh, really? Dude, we're going double factory blue flame Hellions. This in my mind, and I know it's not, but this in my mind is the Innovation build. Innovation used to be the most predictable Terran player out there. Innovation would do the least innovative strategies, right? Which was kind of ironic given his username. But Innovation would just do the same build over and over and over and over again. And then when people told him, yo, you really need to go and mix it up, the only way in which he ever mixed it up was this. He would go double factory blue flame Hellion. Over time, it became more refined. But Innovation was always a very predictable player. Even with his unpredictability, he was very predictable because he would just do this. Blue flame Hellions. Obviously, they roast everything Zerg that is not a roach in the early game. Reynor does not yet have a roach warren. As a matter of fact, he is going double evolution chamber right now. This man is a magician when it comes to Zerglings, but this will be extremely tough. That's also the reason, by the way, that we just showed that third that third command center to the Overlord. But now it's time to panic here. Blue flame is done. Infernal pre-igniter. We have Terran bio on the back it is now, but Maru is gonna test the waters with a very scary attack. He is hosting a drone barbecue, and guess what? We're all invited. How many do you think he's gonna kill? I'm gonna say 24. Oh my god. Okay, it might be more than that. Jeez, that entire mineral line just got deleted in a matter of seconds. Okay, we have a full wall off on the high ground. He actually just tested it as well, but you know what? Yeah, you can kinda... Oh, 24? Oh my god, people are gonna accuse me of pre-watching games. Oh my god, I got it right! Dude. I know there's some people out there that may be pre-watching games before they cast it. I think that's for absolute losers. I never pre-watch a game before I cast a match of SC2, okay? Like, I will... That's stupid. I will always let you know if I already know what happens, right? I only ever recast a game if it's absolutely spectacular. Sometimes I apparently... Okay, get it wrong in the end. Thank God. Yeah, I don't know. I have heard of some StarCraft casters that apparently, like, watch a game already and then they cast it and they pretend that they have never seen it before. That's pathetic, bro. I'm just gonna tell you. Like, television is fake, I guess, but... why ruin a very exciting esport by already knowing the results? Doesn't make any sense to me. Anyways, here we go. Ooh, good bit of damage being done yet again, though, and this is even more drones dying for the cause. Oh, that's so much damage. 34 drones. 34 drones. Now, keep in mind, that wasn't free for Terran. Yeah, as a matter of fact, we have 17 Hellions die as well. So that means, yeah, we basically lost a flat amount of resources. Actually, very easy now as a Terran player to overestimate your advantage. Look at Reynor's worker count. He's at 74 versus 64 drones, or 64 SCVs. So this is, I mean, it's not the end apparently yet. This is still very scary. But it's also important to, yeah, realize that this is not a free push for Terran. If Zerg just over-drones and cleans it up, usually they can still turn out to be okay. Now, this is the type of game that will go, at the bare minimum, right, in the back of Reynor's mind. If they ever face off against Sanctuary or on Sanctuary 3 again in the future, right, there's a very real shot that he will indeed be a little bit more prepared against Blue Flame Hellions. And if I would only be checking out that series, and I haven't seen these games now, yeah, I would be maybe a little bit surprised by the decision-making from the Italian Zerg. When in reality, it's a very reasonable thing to do. Okay. Now, what's kind of cool here is that Terran is not following a double factory opener up with Terran mech. It may feel very tempting. He's even going into a third factory now. Kind of funny, actually. I don't know if he's been using... Yeah, it's again, a bunch of Widow Mines together with siege tanks here. Kind of spicy, right? We're going armor. Armor first this time around, though, rather than the attack upgrade first. So all of this is a little different. Medevac drops will indeed continue once again. He is just absolutely zeroed in on destroying workers. Spore Crawler has been set up, though. Spine Crawler also has been set up. This time around, the drones do get pulled, but it's still awkward. 7 additional ones die. Oh my god. Oh, man. Speedy Widowmine drops are actually crazy good. Like, this was a Zerg player prepared for it and realizing that it was coming, and it still ended up killing 13 drones. That's 48 workers now that have died on the side of the Zerg. Crazy. Here we go. 2-2 timing attack. It's so smooth. It's so elegant, man. Look at this. Leftover Hellions from earlier now turn into Blue Flame Hellbats. And now we have a beautiful Terran timing attack coming up, but still, gotta hand it to Reynor. He's finishing 2-2 of his own. He may have been a little bit delayed, but he still has everything that it takes to clean up a push like this. Widow Mines, though, are always needing to be respected, but now we're fighting a Zerg player on creep. He decides to pre-split some of the units and actually not send it all in one go. That's smart. Ravagers get added into the mix, too. He wants to get rid of those siege tanks. Reynor, though, playing this very cautiously now. He knows how important a match like this is. He decides to send it once again, though. Baneling's moving forward. Does he get the hit that he's hoping for? Well, the corrosive balls will certainly kill that tank. I think with reinforcing units popping out here for Zerg in a moment, this is a defense for Reynor. Oh, these guys are locked in. Yeah, these guys are very locked in. The supply count, the upgrade timings, all of it is so similar. Lurker then, right now, though, for Reynor on the back of this, he does have a hive done. What he didn't yet start up is Adrenal Glands. I find it kind of interesting that he's not prioritizing additional upgrades for now on the units that he's already got, but he really wants to go into a switch on over to Lurkers instead. It's a very significant time investment, right? Like, you just need this very, very soon, but you also need a lot of gas saved up to then actually get use out of those units, right? If you want to play Lurkers, you need to get the Lurker upgrades, you need to make sure that you actually make the Lurkers themselves, and they're 150 gas each. So that means no Adrenal Glands, no +3 melee for now. He did get the armor upgrade, and it's giving Maru a lot of time as well. I don't know if this is the right choice, because the South Korean Terran player does not really show any signs of slowing down. This hatchery is certainly toast. Yeah, and he's just going to keep pushing. He doesn't really know exactly what Zerg's follow-up is going to be, nor does he care. He wants to clear out the creep some more and keep the aggression going. He's now also forcing the Zerg to actually spend so much gas here. Oh, nice transfusions, but he's spending so much gas on units that he really doesn't want. He wants to go Lurkers. He does not want to be making Banes right now. Denying a base over there is huge as well, because that means additional Vespene mining that is not coming in. We get Seismic Spines going and 3 Lurkers. This is what Reynor's been saving up for. Okay, finally he gets to add on a few more. But this is just all so messy. Oh, you know why he got more? He canceled +3 armor. he decided to cancel +3 ground carapace in exchange for more lurkers. That means that this Nidus network that he's getting right now, it needs to be worth itself. Like, it needs to be paying for itself about 10 times over. Maru, in the meantime, is still sharking around the map. He will find another hatchery over here on the left. How good is the defense going to be? Do we have an overseer out on the map? Do we have a changeling hiding in the Terran's main? I don't see anything anywhere, so what's the Nidus even really going to be able to achieve? If we're just forced to play this defensively now, I'm a little bit afraid that Maru is just gonna, well, run away with the win. Oy, 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 he snipes another base. What an absolute gamer. And just like that, Reynor has been knocked back to like 2-base economy. Rotterdam has seen enough. The manager of Team Basilisk, I guess he lagged out or something, I'm not sure, but he has seen enough. This is not a good spot here for his Zerg player anymore. Maru's going ghosts. He's got another command center as well. He's got so many actually already added into the mix. This is extremely dominant gameplay here from the Terran. Now, it's not over yet. You can never disrespect a Zerg player with lurkers. That's why he's getting ghosts right now. There's the Nidus Worm as well inside of the main base, and there are lurkers inside of it too. This can certainly throw a curveball. Let's see. Maru needs to clean this up, and it's so difficult. It's not easy to get rid of lurkers when they're inside of your main base. If anything, it's incredibly APM demanding. Queens are joining in too. They can transfuse those lurkers to even put on more pressure. We might even see like a Zergling counterattack towards the right side of the map. That base is wide open. Suddenly, though, the entire mini-map here of the main base of Maru is blinking red on the map over here. There's indeed the Zerg counterattack in the meantime happening. Maru decides to send it. He doesn't see another attack anywhere else, so he scans and he sees enough units. He decides to just commit. It's risky because he's funneling his unit in between his structures, maximizing the amount of damage that the lurkers can deal, but he wants to clean this up sooner rather than later. In the meantime, though, here's the Zerg counterattack also coming in. SCVs are dying left, right, and center. Reynor grabs the supply lead yet again, never restarting up those Evo chamber upgrades, though, so this is an attack that really needs to put in some work. And I wonder, should Reynor have scouted this expansion over here on the right? Because that one is the one that's very easy to destroy, but he does not know that it exists. Maru is just looking to stabilize. Maru is just trying to stabilize here. No reason to risk it. 13 SCVs is something you can overcome. He's got the upgrade advantage. A couple lurkers over here being annoying. Adrenal Glands, by the way, finally finishes up. Here's the real counter now, though, getting into the mix. He wants to go Liberators together with Ghosts. It's expensive, but he's got some mining happening here on the right side of the map. And yeah, Reynor may actually have a bit of a miscalculation because of it. He believes that this Terran player is currently mining off of like one base, right? He knows that the natural and the main are going to be running out. That means really, in his mind, the only mining can be coming from the expansion over here on the right. And since he's got at least 2 bases mining of his own, he's pulling ahead, but that's not the case. There's an entire extra base that Reynor has not checked for. That's why he feels okay with slowing this game down. That's why he's okay not putting on more pressure in the main base and taking some more cost-effective approaches instead. Still, though, this is an annoying spot for the Zerg player to attack from. Difficult for Terran to really defend it. Hatchery now sneaking out as well over here on the bottom corner. Interestingly enough, that makes them actually reasonably close to one another. Like, they're actually not quite neighbors, but they're not far apart. Both trying to be playing the equally sneaky game. Okay. Lurker yet again, man. Easy snipe over here. Terran trying to break all of this open. Supply is once more all the way up to the cap for Terran. Ooh, Banelings do have to be rolling into those ghosts. The rocks actually do also collapse on top of the... Wait, what just got destroyed? Sorry. Something just died. Was it that clump of Banelings? I backed up like 15 seconds in the game. So the rocks here... they crush a lurker. I think it was the Banelings or something dealing splash damage to the rocks there, which then ultimately crushed the lurker to death. Oh, lucky. Okay. Maru there. He thought he had the game in the bag. right? He was walking around the map like he owned the place. But that certainly got his heart rate spiked back up. It's very important to not get complacent as a Terran player when you go up against lurkers, man. They're so dangerous. You're like one circling run by away as well from disaster. Because of it, we go into additional command centers now. Nidus Worm in the main base yet again, but there's Terran units already waiting. 2 siege tanks now dedicated to main base defense together with a Marauder and a Marine here. Okay. Let's see. How much damage can this deal? Banelings just hunting for a lucky hit. That's kind of... I don't know. I don't like that play. It's a lot of Banelings going down for nothing. Crossing your fingers and hoping your opponent doesn't pay attention. That doesn't really work at this MMR. Nidus Worm now in the natural expansion. Siege tank has to go down to the low ground. Still a lot of creep over here. I would love to see a scan just to get rid of the creep. Make it harder for the Banelings to actually connect. Couple lurkers do pop out. Actually, quite a few more than just a couple. Yet again, this is annoying for Maru to have to deal with. But Maru did just clean out a bunch of bases. Siege tanks are left behind. That'll be -2 of them. Ghost actually probably should not be bothering attacking a bunch of those balloons on the left side of the map. But it doesn't matter. The Terran reinforcements clean up the lurkers. And with the Zerg economy down the gutter, it is Maru who wins this series 3-1. Hey, if you enjoyed watching this video, please take the second that it takes to hit the like button down below. I know it's kind of annoying that I ask, but it really does help. And if you truly enjoyed it and you want to see more, make sure you subscribe so you get notified as soon as new videos go up. I'm also posting daily uploads to my second YouTube channel. Right now, it's a lot of Age of Empires 2, so if you're interested in that, I post whatever over there, but that's youtube.com/morelowko. Anyways, for now, thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to smile, and I hope to see you again in the next one.